Alright, and here is the video review for the Perfect Effect PE-03 Super Robot Warden, PE-DX03. He is IDW Fort Max, more or less, with some added bonus features. Here he is in his tank mode, and I'm starting off in this. We're going to go from tank mode to robot mode into his giant head mode, which will then attach to Fort Max, and everybody will be happy, and hooray! But anyway, I want to start off with this mode, because getting to this mode, I would say so many inhumanly rude things, and I know kids watch this. So, because this tank mode it's neat. It's a nice little Cybertronian tank. When you finally get it all together, it's semi-stable. Like, I mean, I wouldn't shake it around, but you can see it's pretty stable. This gun, actually, it says click when it plugs into the chest, and it doesn't actually click when it plugs into the chest. What holds it on is these pieces back here that tab into the gun, and then down on here into the back plate, which by itself is just loosely tabbed into the bottom here. This is his arms and his legs, which are tabbed together and held together with all these pieces. It's very frustrating to put together. For some reason, once I finally get it all worked in and locked together, it locks together, like I said, it holds together pretty decently. But getting it to do so is a frustrating experience, and probably the worst part of the toy for me. I like the design of the tank mode. I think the robot mode is amazing. The head mode's kind of neat, but getting it to this tank mode is a pain in the butt, and I just want to get that out of the way. So I didn't want to go to this mode on camera. It would have taken forever and involved a lot of swearing. Getting him out of this mode is very easy because he pops apart. So here's the tank mode, and that's really all there is. You do have to apply a good amount of pressure to get the treads to work. You can kind of see their front ones going. But the treads are rubber. They do rotate and work around the little tread piece there. They are on pretty sturdy ball hinges. Like you can support. You can put them down like this, and it will support the weight. I mean, you can't push down on it. It will. Even pushing down on it takes a little bit of pressure to get him to collapse. But it will support his weight with everything attached. And here's everything attached in his tank mode. You can kind of pose these, but posing these tends to make them want to come unhooked from where they're attached, and it's kind of a pain in the butt. You get him in tank mode, he's good for display. You're not going to... The pressure you would need to really make all the treads roll at once would pop him apart. He's not going to be... You're not going to play with him in tank mode unless you're kind of like... Rah, 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 or whatever. But it's a nice... very Cybertronian tank mode. It's not super accurate from what I can tell, since he's only turned into alt mode like we've seen once in More Than Meets the Eye, and it was kind of obscured by Overlord. He does turn into like a shredded tank. He does have these treads on his back. I don't think it looks much like this in the official comic. But for all its intents and purposes and what you get out of this is not a bad tank mode. It's kind of a neat little Cybertronian design. It makes me think of, if you've ever read the G1, like in the first issue of the G1 Marvel comic, it looks like a robot that looks a lot like Optimus, colored a lot like Optimus, turns into like a little gun platform on the first page. And it looks vaguely like that to me, whether it was Optimus or not. But if you ever pick up the G1 comic, I didn't bring my copy in, but Optimus's gun turns in, like, mounts on top of him, and he turns into like a little tank thing, and it looks similar to something like this. So you make that not quite as bright there. So to turn him into robot mode, very simple. One, pop these off. They pop off very easily, and as you can see, that gun just rolls right off. This little tab right here is supposed to fit into this slot up here on top, and it doesn't click. It says click when you put this on, and it doesn't. It just kind of sits there loosely. You need these to hold it in place. But that's his gun. You take that off. Pop this piece off. This is the back piece, and you can see that is also going to be his giant head mode face when we get to that point. You can go ahead, this little piece right here, he has a little parts former. You pop this clip off. Set that off to the side. Put the clip right here. Pop these off. Pop this off. This little headmaster pops out. And the headmaster is really neat. He's covers up his face in the back. Really posable. You can see there's red there. Even the little headmaster has some light piping, which is neat. Arm joints. Nice little head gap. We'll set him off to the side. This ends up being his gun, like a handgun in robot mode. Just like that. And then you pop him off the whole tread assembly, just like that. And here is your core robot. This is the main robot right here. So we're going to set all this stuff off to the side. And again, you can kind of see, here's his chest, his arms are shooting up above his head, and his legs are folded back behind him. That's pretty much all there is to it. So you bring this down, just unfold it like that, take this plate right here and flip it out. It could be a little difficult to get under there and do this, but oh, there we go. Just push right there in the middle. Flip this plate down, form his back plate. Bring the legs down, rotate them forward. Just flatten out the feet here, the toe piece and the heel piece. Bring them up, bring the ab crunch down, split the arms, bring them down to the sides. Open up these and flip his fists out. Same over here. This piece now clips on right here. This folds up. The face ends up hiding inside of his body. This whole piece, and then there's a couple these pieces on the side of his head have little peg holes in them. You can see right there that peg onto his back here. So this whole piece tabs securely onto his back. You get everything lined up right, that is. So he's got his shoulder missile launchers, and there's his body. And then the little headmaster dude, pull this up a little bit. You take him, you just fold his legs up and up. Come around here and then lift up the headpiece. There's his robot mode head. And like the socket here is actually on a joint. This piece is on a separate joint. It can rotate and turn. So his neck is individually posable on a ball joint in there. The socket, so he gets a good amount of posability in his robot mode. And then you just take him and just plug him in. And you can give him the handgun from earlier. Where'd that go? You can hold this right here. And there is the base Warden robot mode. Let's see if I can't get a little brighter there on his face. Nope, okay. But he's got a good solid heft to him. Good posability. He's got up and down joints in his arms, front to back shoulders, a bicep swivel, hinge elbows. He does have wrist swivels, which is nice. He's got clicky, you hear that nice clicky joints on his legs, hinge knees. He does have ball jointed feet down here, and then he's got the hinge here and the hinge here on his foot. So you can get him in some nice stable poses. And he actually supports himself quite well. He's got some die cast in his knees. But yeah, you can get him in all kinds of poses, and he holds his weight really well. And he holds his weight really well even when you get all of his additional parts on him as well, which is really nice. Just a and like he's a beautiful figure. He looks amazing. All the paint apps are crisp and straight and solid. And I haven't heard of anybody having a bad paint issue with their figure. It just pops. It's very, very well done. It's very, very well made, and a really nice figure. I was excited for him anyway, and he came out, and he really is, like, just paint-wise, I think he's the best third-party figure I've gotten ever. I've seen some people say he's the best third-party figure ever. I think that's open for debate. I really, really like him. I think that tank mode is a pain in the butt to get to. I've said that enough. I'm not going to harp on it, but it's a mediocre tank that is not worth the effort it takes to make sure everything lines up right. Do it once or twice, but other than that, that is not the appeal for me for this figure. Now the tank, this mode over here, the treads here, you can pop open like this, flip this up, flip this little screen up, take this piece, and it plugs in right here onto the tank. Now come here. These little tabs tab in, like that. So you lift this up and fold this down. Oh, come on. Don't be a pain in my butt. Flip this up. You can take these missile launchers and attach them, just plug them in and rotate them forward, attach them to the treads. And there are two. There's two like this that have two tabs on it, and there's tabs like this that have one tab, and then a tab down here. These are the ones that you use to attach the cannon to the headpiece in the tank mode, and these are the ones that you use to attach the front and hold the arms and legs together in tank mode. Other than that, they really don't. It doesn't really matter where you stick them. But so you can attach all these to the treads here on the tank, like that. However you want. There's 2 slots, and then you can have the little headmaster guy can pilot it, or you just have a little scout tank. It can be a little autonomous drone. Also, this little clip that we took off of the faceplate when we turned him into, when we took him out of tank mode, it clips on just right in here. You just clip it into there, and it stores inside this plate, so you don't have to worry about losing it when you're not, don't have him in that tank mode, but a full tank mode. So yeah, there's Warden with his tank, his little scout tank. And then this gun over here. One, you can fold it up. You want to have this at an angle. You fold this up, and then flip this up, and it tabs in right here. And this peg this is the peg it plugs into with tank mode. This big peg right here is so G1 Fort Max can hold it. It's kind of, you see, it's reminiscent of G1 Fort Max's rifle. So when you have him in head mode and he's all connected, he can use this as his giant rifle. And here's the scout. And like I said, here's the scout tank. Which again, you could pop his head off, turn him into head mode, and have this little dude driving the scout tank as well. You don't need any of these parts to form the head. However, you can go ahead and pop this off, fold this handle up. This is his base robot mode, which is just more like a Fort Max looking robot. If you want him to look like his More Than Meets the Eye self with the treads and everything, it's real simple. You pop the face, oh, actually you don't pop this off. You pop just the missile launchers off the side here, off the backpack. And they have little tabs that come out the side, just like that. You just flip them out. And you plug them into the side of the legs here. Gives them little leg missile launchers. Just like that. And then you take the little scout tank apart, pop this piece off right here, fold open it up and fold these back in. Ah, come on, open up. Fold this part back in. Come on, why don't you fold? There we go, fold that in. Close it back up. Actually, no, you go ahead and fold that down as well. And then there's a little raised piece right here, and you can see a couple little divots right here behind the tread, just under this piece. And these 2 peg holes where the missile launchers were, you just snap this whole piece on over the backpack. Like that. It tabs in. Like that. And then you take this piece right here, flip it up like that. Now these 2 pegs right here peg in on either side of his shoulders here. There's a couple peg holes in the black plastic. So you take this and you peg it down. I'll line it up first. Here we go. So you peg it down onto his shoulders. You may need to line up his shoulders a little bit if they're not in the right position. Come on, you. There we go. Okay, peg that down, and then you snap these down. There's a little peg hole right here on the side of his chest, and there's a little peg inside here. But if you peg into the shoulders correctly, you just have to push it down, and it'll lock into place on his chest, just like that. So now he's got that armor. This gun right here, you peg in. This peg right here on the gun pegs in right here to the back armor. Flip that up to form more of his backpack. And then this giant cannon, that's the gun for G1 Fort Max and the tank cannon. You lift this up. It helps if you kind of rotate it at an angle to let this pass over it. But you rotate out like this, and then there's right here, there's another big handle. You flip it up, and then make sure you pull it all the way up, or you won't have the clearance for him to grab it. You want to make sure this hinge comes all the way up. You can rotate off to the side, and now you can open up his hand. Snap this in to his hand, have him close his hand around it, bring it over here with this hand, And now you can arm him with his giant cannon. And there are all the parts used from tank mode to give Fort Max his giant IDW Super Robot mode here, which is pretty cool. Now what I like to do when he's in this mode, like this is kind of more accurate to the comic, he does tend to have the treads coming up over his shoulders. I like to fold them down on his back so they're kind of like a tread cape, like that. And I think it just gives him a little bit more of a powerful look to, because he's still got the bulk on his back, and you can flip the cannons around. It's a way to mount the cannons, but it doesn't. You don't have to have that big X pattern of treads on his back. I think it just makes him look a little bulkier and a little bit more of a powerful robot, like this. So pretty cool. And then you got to take all that off, and we'll go to head mode. So pop off the gun. We'll pop that off real quick, size comparison wise. I'll get the gun out of the way so you can see more of his body. Here he is with the Kabaya G1 Fort Max kit, just to give you an idea. Just wanted to do that. And here he is with the Fans Project Code and Smart Robin, aka Chrome Dome and Brainstorm. They look really smart together. I really like having that whole set as a group. He does also come with a stand if you are worried about weight. Perfect Effect included a stand. It's 3 pieces. It's this with the PE logo, this little slidey piece right here, and then this little piece right here that tabs into the top. And this little piece right here slides in. It plugs in right up under his skirt here. You can there's a couple peg holes right up on either side of his body. It's hard to show, but it just kind of slides right up here onto his, there we go, slides it down. And now you can pose him if you want to have him in flying through the air poses or whatever. You've got a nice little stand to display him on. So that's a nice little feature that they didn't have to include, but they did, and that's nice. All right, so to go to the head mode, you're going to pop all this stuff off. Pop off the gun. Pull off the tank treads here. You can leave the face tends to want to pop off while you're doing it, but you can leave it clipped throughout the transformation. Go ahead and pull this off. Go ahead and pop his little robot mode head off. Fold up his fists and take these. We're going to reattach these onto the faceplate back here on the backpack. And this is clearly his main transformation. It's much more involved than fold him up and strap a bunch of stuff to him to tank mode, because all the tank mode stuff doesn't form the head. So his gun ends up forming part of his head. This little guy can actually sit inside and pilot it like the old cartoon, which makes me happy. But yeah, that's it. So we start off here. You pull this out. You lift this up. You're going to rotate his whole body around. And flip it. Well, wait. That's going to happen at some point. So we start off here. Lift up. I'm going to fold this plate up like this. Maybe it's just lift this up, fold it around like that. Oh, and then flip it down like that. Oh yeah, okay, flip it around. So now you have his head facing the back here. That's what you want. That's the goal here, is to turn this around. You have to fold these in a little bit to allow this to come all the way down. Also, before you do that, these pieces, these black pieces, need to be flipped around. You need to have them facing the other way. So let's flip this up, flip this around so the peg hole is in the back of the face. See, that's the opposite. So you just lift this up, rotate this around like that, and then you're good. Go ahead and pull this down, and then flip these forward a little bit, and that lets the face come sit all the way back here. And if you do it right, you're going to have this folded up panel right here sits kind of right back there in the little groove in the face. That's how you know you've got, it's not going to stay there, but that's how you know you've got it right. Once you get to this point, you can take him, you stand him up. He might fall out several times during the transformation, that's just how he is. But you stand him up in here. He plugs in here, so he ends up standing behind the face in head mode. So just like that. And you're going to end up taking the arms, just like tank mode. You bring them up here and fold them up. And we're going to put them up on top of his head. These, yeah, see, you want them like that. So you can see the slot here and the tab over here. See, and there's a tab on the forearm. So you just want to make sure that the tabs are on the inside of the body. You just lift them up and snap them together like this. Can't see the arms there, but they do the same thing at the top. So you come down here, you want to lift these up. Lift up all of this stuff on the waist, including this middle piece. And you want to rotate, leave the skirt where it is, but rotate the whole waist underneath it like that. And then fold this back down. When you come up here, the legs come forward, rotate them out like this, and bring the whole, like I said, he's going to want to fall out. Rotate the whole waist assembly up so that this plate that was sitting there sits up into that empty slot there. Plug him back into his little slot here. So now you're sitting there looking at it like this. Fold these back. You're going to want to bring the legs out to the side and rotate them up like that. There we go. And these should sit flat up here. And once you get that done, let's lower this down a little bit here. The foot, this whole panel opens up like that. I'm going to flip this panel over so it's on the outside. Turn the foot all the way around. Fold just the heel piece down. And that can be a little hard, but you want to get the heel piece all the way down like that. And then the foot comes up here, like this, into here. And same thing on the other side. Open up the foot all the way. Flip this piece over. Rotate the foot around. Flip just the heel all the way down, like that. And then fold it up into there. So now you've got what looks like this. You can actually go ahead if you want and snap. This piece is going to come under. And there's a tab right here that snaps into the tab in the crotch piece where the head had plugged in tank mode. You bring it all the way down and snap that. See, that's what I'm talking about. Sometimes it's easier to transform him without this guy in there because sometimes he'll cause some conflicts with how everything goes. But ideally, you should be able to just, with this snapped in, bring this down. There we go, and snap it into the panel down here. So now you've got this, and it's pretty easy to see what happens here at this point. You fold the legs up into here. You got to pull this over a little bit to give them the clearance. There's a little tab in the back here that's going to tab into the back part of the leg. And then you bring this down the side of the foot. There's a couple peg holes inside the foot there. I don't know if you can see them. But they're going to tab onto this tab on the side of the face. So you're going to rotate that down and tab that into place like that. And you do the same thing on this side. You push this in a little bit, raise the leg all the way up. Come on. Oh, okay, that hip joint is out of whack here. Come on. Come on. There we go. Clip that back into place. Fold it up. Up into there. Get it pegged into the back. And then pegged into the front of the face. You should hear it snap into place there. Why is this now all that? Take this round piece and flip it up in the back. Open. Come on. Everybody stay where you're supposed to. Open this up. Put everything together. And then you take the arms, you fold them down on top of the head here. See, it's not quite this much of a pain in the butt to get everything to stay in place. Come on, what? Something's not lined up right here, because this should sit a little further forward. There we go, you're pegged in over here, you're pegged in over here, you're pegged together, you're open. Come on. Oh, yeah. This is another one of those areas that, like, oh, there we go, fold that flat. Is that the problem? Is that it? Yeah, see, that one panel out of place screwed everything up. bring it all together, and then the gun you fold up like this, slide it through here, plug it into there, and into the top of the arms, and there you have his head mode, which is a giant head for Fort Max. And just give me a second, I'll put him down, go grab the body up here, and we'll show you how everything combines. Actually, before we do that, you take this and close this up, fold the treads down like this, and then you take this piece once again, plug it in under here, and fold these pieces up, and this is going to end up being a backpack on full Fort Max. So when you get to, so here's all the parts. When you pull, once we get Fort Max's body up here, head will go on, and his head obviously, these little slots right here actually slide into the ramp on Fort Max's back, and he wears this as a backpack, and he can hold this as a gun. Actually, you flip this up. Again, remember, hold that at an angle. Peg it in, and fold that up, and he'll have this as his gun. So all these are going to go on Fort Max. Let's get him up here, and we'll go ahead and slot all of them onto him. All right, and finally here we have Warden in Commander mode with Cerebros in Fort Max head mode, just to give an idea of how big he is comparatively. And you see he's much thicker this way. It's not as noticeable from the front. And he's a little bit bigger. Like the actual head size is not super different. He's a little bit more proportioned, but he does have a bigger neck. You can see if you just set him down, it looks much bigger than the actual size it is. But he is much more substantial than Cerebros, just to give a quick comparison there. Now, once you have everything all put together, you got Warden in Commander mode, the rifle with the stock folded up, and then the treads with the chest armor attached up here. On the back, you can combine them with Fort Max. We'll go ahead and do that. We'll bring in Fort Max here. Back this camera up. Position it up here. Everything's going to take place up in this general area. There we go. Straighten it all up. So here's Fort Max. So the treads, there's two tabs. You see the little wider tabs here on the bottom of this piece. And how that works is, turn him around. On the back ramp here, there's two little divots. You can kind of see, you can kind of see in the plastic. There's a little divot here and a little divot here. And what you want to do is you take this and take those two tabs. And you want to make sure the tabs are on the bottom part of the backpack. If you have the tabs on the top, the ball joints for the lower treads get in the way of these. You need to have it so the white piece is at the top and the tabs are at the bottom. You put those tabs in those slots, and then you can slide it down, and the treads are able to store right there on Fort Max's back. Take the rifle out of his hand, and again, you can see the similarities in the rifle design. And then put the big old rifle, plug it in, and he holds it very well. The tab is quite sturdy in his hand there. So now he's got a new rifle. And then, of course, here's Cerebros. Pop him off. And then he's got a couple little tabs on either side of the neck that function the same way the tabs on Cerebros do. You just take him and snap him in up here. And there is Warden on Fort Max. Now, a lot of pictures I've seen, he looks a lot better in person. He is bigger than Cerebros just due to the neck and everything. See if I can get the whole body there. But in person versus pictures, it still looks really nice. Like I said, it's a little off. I wish the proportions were a little bit better. But you can see right there. I mean, like it's a really nice looking head design there with Warden, and like I said, part of what I think it takes getting used to is just that it's bigger than Cerebros, and so it doesn't look right. You know, we're so used to seeing Fort Max with Cerebros attached. So yeah, but still it's a very nice sculpt. It's a very detailed head. It looks really cool. I like it a lot. And again, while it doesn't look perfect on Fort, if it were just slightly smaller, it would look like. But he's not. He's really not as out of proportion as a lot of pictures make it look. And even if you don't have to have Fort Max to enjoy Warden or even enjoy Commander mode on Warden, because like just transforming it into the giant head is pretty cool. And it's like I said, it's a really nice Fort Max head. So even if you don't have the whole body to attach him to, still worth picking up. He's still got the tank mode, and his regular robot mode is just amazing. But yeah, there is so there's Warden in Commander mode, and that is Perfect Effects Warden, all wrapped up nice and neat. Like I said, he's definitely worth picking up. If you have the funds and you've been on the fence, if you're debating it, do it. He's really a lot of fun. I really, really like him. Perfect. Like I said, I don't know if he's the absolute best third-party figure ever released ever. Oh my God! But he's certainly Perfect Effects' best figure, and he's up there. He's definitely in my top list of third-party figures that I really enjoy. So there you go, Perfect Effects Warden with Pistol and the Treads.